Let me take your hand and take you back to 1943. At that time, we are introduced to Carl, a young boy living with his parents in a remote village, a place so isolated that it feels like time itself has stopped there. His father worked as a simple farmer, carrying the weight of exhaustion and the burden of the land on his shoulders every single day. Carl would always look at him with a heart full of guilt, watching the struggle wear him down, until one day he decides he wants to help, no matter what. At first, his father refuses, telling him that Carl is still a child and should leave the hard work to the grown-ups. But Carl insists, and insists, until his father finally agrees, but only during school vacations, allowing his son to carry just a small part of the burden with him. Years pass. Carl grows older, and one day while he's working in the field, his mother suddenly rushes to him and says, "Get ready! Today is the day you leave." Carl was leaving to join the U.S. Navy's military training program. In the moment of farewell, his father places his hand on Carl's shoulder, looks into his eyes, and asks him for a strange promise. He asks him not to return to this village, not until he achieves his dream and breaks the cycle that held their family down for generations. The words were painful, but the father's heart was hurting even more. He wanted his son to succeed, to rise above poverty, to become someone important in the city without ever looking back at the life they struggled through. But as soon as Carl arrives at the naval base, he discovers the harsh reality. Back then, the U.S. military did not allow black men to serve as soldiers. They were still seen as nothing more than servants, people who belonged under the boots of their white superiors. Slavery was abolished, yes, but the racist mindset was still alive. Carl enters the Navy only to find out he isn't a soldier at all. No, he's just a cook. Actually, a cook's assistant, to make it even worse. On the second day, during his break with the other black recruits, they watch the white trainees celebrating and swimming freely in the open ocean. He and the rest of the boys were treated like they didn't belong, isolated like outcasts. His friend tells him that even the swimming schedules here are segregated. One time slot for the white kids and another for the black kids. They get 5 days a week, while he and his friend only get 2, just Nima and Rita. When Carl hears this, he can't stop himself from wondering, why? Why separate us when we're all human? Without thinking twice, he takes a bold step. He walks straight through them, completely ignoring their warnings, and jumps into the water. And the kid dives like a torpedo, fast and sharp. The place, the water. It brushes against his legs for the first time, and it loves him. Your heart almost breaks for him. The insults, the laughter, the humiliation he goes through. And the worst part? The head coach himself orders his assistant to get him out of the pool and throw him off the deck. They even call the security detail to arrest him. They start chasing him, but the boy swims like a real sea creature, fast, fearless, and reaches the edge before any of them can even get close. After the chaos settles, the punishment comes. Carl gets locked up alone in the isolation room, spending a long time inside, until the captain finally walks in. But instead of yelling, he looks at him calmly and says he was impressed by his speed, by his courage, and by the heart he showed. Then comes the surprise. The captain rewards him and officially adds him to the Naval Search and Rescue Team. The news hits Carl like pure joy, like life returning to his body again. The first thing he does is grab a pencil and paper and write a letter to his family, full of love, hope, and pride, telling them he's now one step closer to making his dream come true. The next day, the ship suddenly shakes after a distress call. A helicopter has crashed right in the middle of the ocean. The captain panics, unsure what to do, and orders one of the divers to go down immediately to rescue the pilot. Time passes, tension rises, and every second feels heavier than the one before. By the way, Captain Chief is one of the most skilled divers ever. He's earned medals no one else has managed to achieve before. Eventually, the rescue team manages to pull the pilot up, but unfortunately, he had already died before they reached him. But there's one more person still down there, the co-pilot, tightly strapped inside, slowly sinking. They send another diver to save him, but suddenly the rope snaps, and the second diver disappears straight into the deep, swallowed by the ocean in seconds. And as the situation gets more intense, Chief makes a reckless, insane decision. He dives straight into the water after him, without a diving suit, without any protection, throwing himself directly into a head-on confrontation with death. A few moments later, after unbearable tension, both of them finally resurface, alive. But Chief's chest is torn from the inside, his lungs severely damaged, and the team rushes him to the hospital. There, the doctor examines him and delivers the harsh verdict: no more diving, no water, not until you fully recover. The words hit him like a blade cutting straight through his spirit. He snaps, screaming, fighting, causing chaos, until the crew forces him down and restrains him with full strength. The next day, the entire naval unit gathers for the disciplinary hearing. Carl stands in the back, watching silently as the captain announces the judgment. Chief is officially demoted, and instead of diving, he is reassigned to train the diving unit. After the hearing ends, Carl approaches the captain. He looks him straight in the eye with unwavering confidence and asks permission to join the Navy's advanced diving program. He tells him that he was inspired by Chief's courage, that from today, he wants to be just like him. He wants to become a rescue diver, someone who descends into the darkness and rises again carrying a human life. The captain listens carefully, and the determination in Carl's voice softens his heart. He approves the transfer, moving Carl from the swimming division to the elite diving division. The next morning, Carl arrives at the training camp and hands the assignment papers to the guard. The guard stares at him in disbelief, because never, not once, has a black man ever been allowed to step foot inside this naval diving base. A moment later, Chief himself walks out of the camp. Fate plays its twisted joke. He is now the new commanding instructor in charge of the entire diving program. Carl explains why he's here, but Chief isn't listening. He chooses cruelty. He tells him that a black man doesn't deserve to become a diver, that men like him belong in the kitchen, not in the depths of the ocean. The humiliation cuts deep into Carl's heart, but he says nothing. He stands still, waiting. He stays exactly where he is, waiting until sunset, waiting until Chief finishes his duties and returns. And when Chief finds Carl still standing there, unmoved, his frustration turns into anger, and he decides to drive him back to the village himself. But Carl refuses, with a steady, unshaken voice. He tells him he made a promise to his father, and he will fulfill it. He will become a Navy diver, no matter what it costs. The persistence he shows breaks Chief's heart, and for the first time, Chief finally allows him to enter. Inside the camp, Carl is approached by a trainee named Snowhill, the first white man to shake his hand without even glancing at his skin color. Snowhill explains that this camp is run by an old, ruthless naval commander, a man everyone fears, known as Mr. Pappy. Snowhill personally walks him to the barracks, and the moment Carl steps inside, he notices a new white trainee staring at him with pure disgust, rejecting him instantly, simply because Carl is black. Moments later, Chief walks in and begins outlining the rules and the training schedule. Right there, he announces that Carl is now officially a member of the diving program. The announcement spreads through the trainees like wildfire. One after another, they start packing their bags, shouting that they'd rather quit the Navy than share a room with a black man. Within minutes, the entire barracks empties, leaving only Carl and Snowhill behind. That night, when the silence becomes unbearable, Chief marches inside. Carl wakes up exhausted as Chief drags him outside and splashes freezing water all over him. With a sharp, cutting tone, Chief tells him, "From this moment on, you'd better learn your place. I allowed you to stay here, and because of that, my reputation is ruined. So forget comfort, forget rest." Carl absorbs every word, standing there, shivering, cold, hurt, humiliated, but he endures it. He endures because his dream is bigger than the pain. The next morning marks the beginning of the first training session. Chief explains to the class that swimming is nothing like diving, and that today's test will break many of them. Knowing that Snowhill had written in his application that he could hold his breath underwater for 4 minutes, Chief calls him forward to test him publicly. Snowhill steps ahead and dives, but after barely a minute, he panics, surfaces, and fails. Chief immediately accuses him of falsifying his record and expels him on the spot. Days pass, and Carl continues training with the remaining students until the day of the written exam arrives. Unfortunately, Carl fails miserably, and the officer warns him with a cold voice that one more bad score will get him expelled from the program. When vacation comes, everyone heads home. Everyone except Carl. He goes straight to the city library, searching for knowledge on his own, determined to rise, even if he has to teach himself everything from scratch. At the library, Carl meets the young librarian, a girl named J.O., who happens to be his age and is studying nursing. Carl asks her to help him study, but she immediately refuses. She tells him that naval training is extremely difficult and that it takes months of preparation to understand the material. But when she returns a few days later, she is stunned to find that Carl never left the library. He had locked himself inside, studying relentlessly, reviewing every book he could find, all to pass the exam. Seeing the determination burning inside him, Jo changes her mind and slowly begins teaching him step by step until the day of the exam finally comes. And this time, Carl passes. His scores rise, his progress shows, and he succeeds. Later that afternoon, Chief returns and resumes training. He gathers the students and calls out 2 new recruits, Rook and Asher. Their mission for today is to weld a broken section of a sunken ship. The 2 divers descend into the deep, and while Asher is welding the metal, the massive ship suddenly shifts, shaking violently in a terrifying movement until it hangs dangerously over a deep drop. At that moment, Asher's air hose gets jammed, and both he and Rook start screaming through their comms in panic. Carl immediately raises his hand, saying he'll go down to rescue them. The situation is critical, and there is no other choice. Chief gives him 5 minutes, 5 minutes before the air completely runs out. Carl dives instantly. The pressure around him is crushing, and Rook, overwhelmed with fear, abandons Carl and swims deeper into the dark water to hide. Carl can barely breathe, but he forces himself to stay focused, continuing the mission to save Asher's life. After the rescue is complete, Chief gathers everyone and reads the official commendation, a recognition sent directly from the Navy's commanding officer. But the shock hits everyone. The award is given to Rook, not Carl, even though Rook ran away, and Carl was the one who risked his life and saved the team. The commander refuses to acknowledge Carl's bravery simply because he is black. But something positive happens that day. For the first time, the trainees who witnessed his patience, his courage, and his loyalty, their hearts soften. They begin approaching him, speaking to him, treating him as a friend. The next day, Carl calls his family back in the village. His mother answers and delivers the news that shatters his world. His father has died. Carl collapses emotionally. His mother explains that his father hid his illness, so Carl would stay focused on his studies, so he could build a better future far away from the fear and pain of sickness. That night, Carl is destroyed. He asks Jo to meet him, and while waiting for her, he decides to read one of Chief's books, only to discover something shocking inside. He finds out that Jo is actually Chief's wife. She sees the tears in his eyes and tells him that the pain between them is the same. She's hurting too, because even on the night of their wedding anniversary, Chief left her alone and went drinking with his friends. She asks Carl to go with her to the bar where her husband is, and the moment Carl walks inside, every Navy officer turns to look at him, their eyes filled with disgust, and some immediately rush to inform Chief. As soon as Chief sees Carl inside the bar, he erupts in anger, shouting that black men don't belong here. The words cut deep. The insult burns inside Carl, and for the first time ever, he stands up and answers his instructor face to face. He looks him dead in the eye and says, "You're not angry. You're jealous. Jealous that I've become better than you." At that moment, Chief snaps. His pride is shattered. He wants to prove himself. So he challenges Carl to an underwater breath-holding contest. If Carl loses, he's kicked out of the program. But if Carl wins, he returns to the training camp. Carl, after enduring humiliation for so long, accepts without thinking. Minutes later, they both suit up and the challenge begins. The water is freezing, but their hearts are blazing. Their lungs stretch, their eyes lock, and every muscle in their bodies fights to endure. In the end, Chief breaks. His strength fades. He starts bleeding underwater. And Carl rises victorious, winning the challenge and reclaiming his dignity. After the victory, he searches for Joe but can't find her. He runs after her, and when he finally catches up, he asks why she left. Joe tells him she only came to say goodbye. She got accepted for a job in another city, and her flight is tomorrow. The words shake him. His emotions rush out uncontrollably, and in that moment, he asks for her hand. He promises her that after graduation, he'll go straight to her doorstep. The next day, Mr. Pappy summons Chief and gives him a filthy order. Tomorrow is the final exam. No matter what happens, Carl does not pass. I will never allow a black man to graduate from this camp or earn that certificate. Chief doesn't like Carl, but he hates injustice even more. He despises authority when it's misused. He knows Carl is better than him, knows it very well, but orders are orders, and he has no power to refuse. Chief meets Carl and delivers the order to him, and the tension between them explodes. But Carl refuses to step back, refuses to surrender or walk away from the final exam. In a moment of blinding anger, Chief snaps. He grabs the old radio Carl's father left him and smashes it to pieces. The only thing Carl had left from his father shatters right in front of his eyes, and with it, a part of his heart breaks too. But he stands there, frozen, powerless. The next morning, all the trainees line up, fully prepared for the exam. Suddenly, Carl appears, standing tall, steady, his eyes filled with unshakable confidence. Chief sees that look and realizes he has no escape, so he allows Carl to enter the exam, no matter what consequences follow. Moments later, the test begins. They throw the tool bags into the sea, one after another, until it's Carl's turn. And on direct orders from Mr. Pappy, his bag is ripped apart and torn to pieces before hitting the water. Carl dives in, but finds nothing. No tools, no direction. Every screw, every piece of metal scattered in total darkness. He keeps searching, fighting, resisting, refusing to give up. Hours pass. One trainee after another finishes successfully, until Carl is the only one left underwater. Watching from above, Mr. Pappy coldly instructs Chief to let him stay down there until his breath runs out. Between the orders and the execution, Chief freezes, his conscience tearing him apart. Meanwhile, Joe, during her shift, she drops everything and runs straight to the exam site. Night falls. The sea grows harsher and darker. Carl is still down there. The tension rises. The trainees grow restless. Chief keeps glancing at his watch, at the water, at the empty space in front of him. Mr. Pappy speaks through the radio, ordering them coldly, "No one helps him, not a single step." And in a sudden burst, Chief breaks the fear, breaks the system, and screams, "Pull him up!" The trainees grab the rope, but just before they start lifting it, Carl rises on his own out of the darkness, after achieving the impossible and collecting every single piece. That moment earns him even more of Chief's respect, a respect carved in pain and pride. The next day, during the graduation ceremony, Hale returns to the camp, carrying 2 pieces of news. The good news is that the Navy finally allowed him to return to training, and the bad news is that Chief got discharged for disobeying Mr. Pappy's orders because he let Carl pass. When Carl returns to his room, his steps are heavy, his chest tight, and his heart sinking, until he finds a surprise waiting for him. His father's old radio, restored perfectly, shining like new, and in that moment, he realizes Chief was the one who repaired it for him. Years pass, and Carl becomes one of the Navy's top divers, married to Joe with a son of their own. and now Carl is assigned to the most dangerous mission in the history of the United States, locating a lost nuclear bomb that sank to the bottom of the sea. The commander tells him, "When we pinpoint the bomb's exact location, you'll be the one going down." Carl had risen through the ranks, earning trust, respect, and a reputation built on unwavering courage. But the depth is extreme, and the mission is deadly. If that bomb detonates, an entire region could be wiped off the map. Between you and me, the commander still doubts him, doubts whether Carl can handle the mission alone. But Carl, as always, dives into the ocean and proves that doubt itself is the real mistake. He accomplishes the impossible, completes the mission, and saves everyone. His name spreads everywhere, broadcast live on national TV, and the man who used to be treated like a nobody now stands as a hero on their screens. The commander orders the team to lift the bomb to the surface. But during the lift, disaster strikes. The rope slips, and 2 men are seconds away from dying. Carl pushes them out of the way and takes the hit himself, and the force nearly severs his leg. In the hospital, Carl opens his eyes to find himself lying on a white bed, and Joe staring at him with broken eyes. She tells him the truth. "Your leg was almost amputated. They barely managed to save it, but the doctors say he'll never walk normally again." Shock, grief, and a crushing sense of shame as he stares at his father's picture, believing he failed him, that he fell apart before finishing the dream his father wanted for him. Meanwhile, in another place, in another darkness, Chief sits alone in a psychiatric facility, broken, defeated, his license revoked, his pride shattered. He spends his days in silence until a nurse hands him a newspaper. On the front page, the story of Carl's accident. Chief's eyes widen, his conscience awakens, and he realizes Carl needs him, not as a student, but as the son he never had. At this moment, inside the hospital, the commander, his assistant, and Captain Hankus are walking in. They're coming to see Carl. At that very moment, Carl is breaking down over the phone, tears streaming down his face. He says he wants another chance, just one more chance to dive again. Hankus shakes his head, saying firmly, "You won't be getting back in the water again." But Carl doesn't sulk. He picks up a newspaper in front of him. There's a picture of an aircraft, a single-engine plane, and he's proud of it, proud of the Air Force weaponry. Carl looks Hankus straight in the eyes, challenging him. He says, "If it can fly, I can dive." He's asking for the hardest, most impossible challenge a human could ever request. He asks the doctor to amputate his legs. "Cut off my legs, let me get back to work. I'm not a man without a dream." Everyone walks in, stopping behind the barrier, listening to every word. Their eyes are filled with awe, sensing the fear of the entire world. Carl begins to learn, walking on one leg, then the other, trying to balance and speak, confronting himself before he confronts the ocean. Suddenly, Chief enters and hugs him, looking into his eyes, saying, "Yesterday, when I read the report, I felt we were one, together. We broke, we held back from diving. But Carl, I was your trainer. I knew who you were. You are the man who never says surrender." He promises to support him, standing beside him, convincing the Navy to give him another chance. Then comes the day of the conference, the day of destiny. He announces it at the conference because the journalists are numerous. Carl enters the hall. Chief is frozen at the barrier. The military won't let him in. Carl sits in front of the senior commanders, answering their questions until Captain Hankus requests the diving suit. To everyone's surprise, it's a completely different kind. Heavier, sturdier, to withstand water pressure. The suit weighs over 200 kilograms. He challenges them. If he walks 12 steps in it, they'll return to diving. They tell him it would take 2 weeks, but Carl confronts them, declaring he's ready to do it right now. At this moment, Chief loses his temper, yelling at the military and scolding the hall. When the barrier opens, he's stunned. Carl stands in front of the iron diving suit. His children and family watch from behind, witnessing the moment. Chief tries to shield him, to lighten the burden, telling everyone even a healthy man couldn't walk in it. One leg is artificial, but Carl looks at him with unwavering eyes full of confidence, a gaze that says, limitation is not weakness, and dreams can carry a man no matter the weight. Finally, Chief surrenders to Carl's spirit and decides to stand beside his friend. At that moment, Carl takes a deep breath, puts on the diving suit, inhales for the first time, and takes his first step. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chief is thrilled, cheering Carl on, giving a motivational speech that inspires strength and courage. In the end, Carl does the impossible and takes the 12th step. Captain Hanks and all the senior commanders, after witnessing Carl's effort, unanimously agree that Carl should return to his position in the Navy divers. Everyone stands up and applauds, paying homage to Carl and celebrating his resilience. Amidst the celebration, Chief feels he has completed his role as a mentor, presenting the military salute with pride to the young trainee, the one he taught a life-changing lesson, proving that determination and persistence will achieve the dream.